Let's look at the NFL, because the NFL, we are 5 weeks into the season. We've seen some great games so far. In Monday Night Football, we saw your Kansas City Chiefs go on the road to Jacksonville against a very hot Jacksonville team. And it appeared that Kansas City was going to get back on track. They were going to get a big win under their belt on the road against Trevor Lawrence and company, but not so fast, as Trevor Lawrence had a big game. I don't know what happened on that last play when he fell down, not once, but twice, and then waltzed into the end zone. You had Devin Lloyd with a pick six against Patrick Mahomes, which was such a huge pivotal moment in that game. And my favorite part of the game was getting this young man involved, Travis Hunter. I mean, this is unbelievable. This is the type of plays that they were expecting to get when they traded up to number 2 for him. And what was really starting to bother me were a lot of the critics that were saying it was a bust and they spent too much to get him before he's even through the halfway point of his rookie year. This is the type of athlete he is. I think he's a freak that can handle the workload. I thought it would take some time, and it was great to see Jacksonville make it a priority to start force feeding him the football.
Well, and that's why I think part of why they're calling him a bust, you got to understand how hard it is to make the transition from college to pro at one position, to spend half the time that a normal receiver spends at receiver and half the time a normal cornerback spends at corner is going to make it significantly harder. I think he's capable of doing it, but I watched plays like that, and I almost think they're doing a disservice to the kid, because I'd almost rather see him go be an all-pro receiver or go be an all-pro corner rather than split your time and be like a 2 or 3 receiver, you know? Do you feel like that in some way? I feel like if this guy dedicates all his time to being the best receiver in the league, maybe he goes out and becomes one of the best receivers in the league, and I'd love to see that.
I do wonder if that would be the best approach, because focus on one, master your craft on offense or defense. Selfishly, I would rather see him catch the ball like we saw just there, and then let him develop, become the full complement of receiver, run all the route tree, become more comfortable with the system that's in place. Then you switch him maybe year 2 to the defensive side of the ball, or use him very spot use in really pass-heavy situations where it's a 3rd and long. You might want to put him in there in the slot somewhere where you could have him just 5 or 6 plays a game, maybe 10 or less. I do think that the reason they're playing him on both is because of the pressure and because of the move that they made to try to justify moving up to number 2.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with that. It's going to make it real difficult for them to explain why
Devin
they made
Lloyd going the other way.
I know, I saw it. Dude, everything that, let's talk about this game right now, though. Everything the Chiefs could have done in every facet wrong, they did wrong. It's so uncharacteristic of these guys. I mean, Patrick Mahomes to throw a 99-yard pick six is unheard of, right? He's the last one, and that's something I've seen him play bad games before, and it's such a beautiful feeling because I grew up a Jets fan, and to be able to have somebody that you always say back there, I'm like, guys, don't stress. 15 is back there. So to see him make the mistake is huge. Then you watch a guy like Harrison Butker, who, for whatever reason, something is not right with him upstairs this year. He's been horrible. He's missed a kick in every game. And then something as simple as keeping the ball in bounds. He kicks the ball out of bounds and gives him the ball at the 40 and gives him half a field to work. The Chiefs, and I know it's been a big thing over the last couple of years, Chiefs get all the calls. Well, the Chiefs were out-penalized. I mean, they took 14 penalties for like 109 yards to 4 for 25 from Jacksonville. So, I mean, everything. And I mean everything that could have went wrong. I mean, we have the last example of it right here.
Some of it was on the refs, some was on bad bounces, some of it was effort, as the case here. Trevor Lawrence trips twice, gets up, and if you see number 95, that is one of the supposedly best players in the NFL, a defensive tackle for the Chiefs, one Chris Jones, who makes $30 million a year, just inked an extension a couple years ago, $140 million, and this is the effort you get. Here's what concerns me about the Chiefs, and I think Chris Jones kind of encapsulates what's wrong with the Chiefs. I think they're fat and happy. Like, I think they are not hungry enough to be the team that this team was in the dynasty, where you're trying to prove people wrong. You're trying to prove your critics wrong. You're trying to get that big payday. You're trying to establish yourself in the NFL. What I saw was complacency, and I thought Chris Jones was just a small example of what you've seen from an entire team that feels like, yeah, we'll be fine. We'll make it to the playoffs. We don't have to win now. And if they're not careful, they're not going to make the playoffs because they keep setting them further and further behind the 8 ball, where it's going to be a long road back, and they're losing some of that intimidation factor. When you go on the road, it would always be, oh, here come the Chiefs. Here come Mahomes. Oh, boy, how are we going to beat this team? Now, team like the Jags, they look at them, they take them down. Everybody's looking at them that way.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before, and there definitely is something to that. We worried about the Eagles doing that earlier in the year, but I think the best thing about this team is, and the reason I don't stress too much about that is because everything to me last night was self-inflicted. I mean, other than a couple of late Trevor Lawrence throws that were just absolutely out of this world, 15 penalties you can fix, right? Leaving these wide open gaps for Trevor Lawrence to run through, Spags can fix. Effort, you can fix, right? Drops, you can fix. Stuff like that makes me feel like they will figure it out. They got guys in that locker room that I have to believe. You know the drill, man. You don't become Patrick Mahomes great, Andy Reid great, Travis Kelce level great without that self-motivation inside.